Okay, we're jumping right in today with some pretty significant breaking news.
Really significant.
Yeah, just moments ago, really. Word is coming through that Pope Francis has died. He was 88.
Wow. Okay. That's major news hitting right now.
It is. It's coming straight from the Vatican, reported via AFP. So it feels very immediate, very real time.
Absolutely. And, for a figure like that, the news travels instantly worldwide.
Yeah.
We're all sort of processing this together.
Exactly. And we actually have some details from the initial statement from Cardinal Farrell. You can really feel the gravity in his words.
What did he say?
He announced it with deep sorrow. The direct quote is, "Dearest brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow, I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis at 7:35 this morning."
7:35 this morning. Okay. Specific timing.
Very specific. And he used that traditional phrasing, "The Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father."
Right. This very particular language. He frames it within, the faith perspective immediately.
It does. And the statement quickly moves to his life's work. Farrell said his entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and his church.
Mm.
And then this part stood out to me, that he taught us to live the values of the gospel with fidelity, courage, and universal love.
And let me guess, was there a mention of the poor?
Right on cue.
Yeah.
Especially in favor of the poorest and most marginalized.
Yeah, that's been such a consistent theme, hasn't it? It makes sense they'd highlight that right away. It really defines his papacy for so many.
Absolutely. It seems central to how they want his legacy remembered, even in these first moments.
Makes sense.
There's also this very faith-driven closing to that part of the announcement. With immense gratitude for his example as a true disciple of the Lord Jesus, we commend the soul of Pope Francis to the infinite merciful love of the one and true God.
A very formal, faith-filled commendation.
Yeah. Now, as we're absorbing this, it's impossible not to think about his health recently. That context is important here.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because there were serious concerns, weren't there? The hospitalization.
Exactly, that bout of double pneumonia. That sounded quite severe at the time, needing oxygen and all.
It did.
Yeah.
And that wasn't actually that long ago. People were genuinely worried then.
And when he was released, the understanding was, okay, he'll be taking it easy, lighter duties for a while.
Right. Which seemed to be happening.
Well, sort of, because then we saw him present at the Easter celebrations just this past weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was there. Though I remember reading he didn't actually deliver the sermon himself.
Correct. He was present, but maybe not fully leading in the way he might have previously.
Yeah.
Still, his presence was noted.
And didn't we also see images of him in the Pope Mobile fairly recently, too, greeting crowds?
We did. Those images definitely circulated, and I think for many people, seeing him out like that, even if he looked frail, might have suggested, maybe he's turned a corner, or at least stabilizing.
Mm-hmm. It creates a sort of picture of improving or at least managed health. Maybe a sense of reassurance for some.
So, considering those appearances, having him visible, this announcement this morning, pinpointing the time at 7:35 a.m. local time, it does feel quite sudden.
It really does. The visibility perhaps masked the underlying fragility. The specific time suggests, a very clear confirmed event this morning.
Right. So just to quickly recap for everyone processing this, Pope Francis has died at 88. The announcement came from Cardinal Farrell at the Vatican moments ago.
Time of death given as 7:35 a.m. local time.
And this follows that period of known health struggles, including the double pneumonia, but also those recent public appearances at Easter and in the Pope Mobile.
Which, as you said, makes the final news today feel perhaps more abrupt than it might have otherwise.
Yeah. It signifies, the end of a really significant era for the Catholic Church, obviously.
And a major voice on the world stage is now gone. His role was prominent, often quite outspoken. It's a big shift.
It is. It's definitely a lot to take in as these first reports come through.
Indeed. A moment of global significance.
So as we continue to process this, let's just solidify the key information we have. Pope Francis, historic figure, the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church, has passed away, age 88.
And just to add a bit more context for people, he was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio back in 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Right.
His path was, ordained a priest in 1969, later became the provincial of the Jesuits in Argentina in 1973. A long career within the church before.
Before that historic election in 2013, a really groundbreaking moment.
Truly. And something that really struck a chord throughout his papacy, and you probably remember this well, was how he presented himself.
Oh, absolutely. That sense of being one of the people, as he often put it.
Exactly, that famous quote, "My people are poor and I am one of them." That wasn't just rhetoric, was it? It seemed deeply ingrained.
It really felt authentic. It informed so much of his focus, his travels, his messages, that dedication to the poor, those needing the church's support and love.
And that message, that focus on the marginalized, it resonated far beyond just Catholics, I think. It was a powerful, consistent theme he returned to again and again.
It definitely was. So here's maybe a thought to leave our listeners with as they absorb this news today. You have this leader, Pope Francis, who so strongly identified with the poor, who championed the marginalized on a global stage,
Hmm.
and who remained visible, making public appearances quite recently, despite these known serious health issues.
Right, that juxtaposition is striking.
So the thought is, how might that particular focus, that deep identification with the poor and marginalized, shape his ultimate legacy, especially considering he was active relatively close to the end, despite everything? What impact does that have?
That's a really interesting question to ponder. How that unwavering focus combined with his recent presence will be remembered in the long run. A powerful point to reflect on as this news sinks in.